The Activate Your Learning section of your dashboard provides you an opportunity to gather evidence about the SOAR practices while viewing video teaching samples. You can then align that evidence to the elements of the rubric and compare your alignment with that of the experts. Let's take a look at the process for viewing videos, gathering evidence, and aligning the evidence with the SOAR rubrics. In this area, you will see a number of links, and these links are to different videos that we've selected to showcase the high impact, cross-cutting, and foundational practices of the frame that you are focusing on. There are different videos for each of the practice, so we can show you different levels of the practice enacted in a classroom. So let's go ahead and pick a module and let's take a look at this. To go into the system, you simply click on the link. We always, within the system, thank the teachers who have graciously offered their videos to help us deepen our understanding of these practices. And you always select, I'm working on my own. Once you're in the system, you will see an interface consisting of 3 panels. There is a panel on the left where you can collect evidence, a panel in the middle where you see the video and play the video, and a panel on the bottom that shows you the practice and the elements of that practice. Some people prefer to print out the rubric or the observation sheet and have the hard copy with them when they're viewing the evidence. If that's your preference and you would prefer to get rid of the bottom panel, simply select the icon to the right of observable rubrics and the bottom panel will go away. In the evidence box, I can type in evidence. It's a simple text box that allows me to type. So what I want to do is play the video, and as I'm playing the video, I want to be able to type in some evidence. There's 2 ways to do this.
Right. Tell me, what do you already know, Christina?
One way is to play the video and then simply type in evidence as I pause the video. Certainly, you can type in evidence as the video is playing. If you would like the video to auto-pause every time you want to put in a piece of evidence, you simply select the auto-pause button at the bottom of this left panel. And then as you play the video, you can listen. As soon as you go to type in evidence, the video will pause.
The acronym.
So as I checked in the evidence box, we saw the video auto-paused. I can type in some evidence. And then I can manually start the video again by pressing the play button. You can see that the controls for the video are on the bottom of the evidence panel where you can play the video, forward it, or rewind it. Every time I type in a piece of evidence and hit return, that evidence will automatically save. And there are also a selection of keyboard shortcuts I can use. So if I press on the S button, it's student SAS. On the T button, it's teacher SAS. So I don't have to type in full phrases that are commonly used in observations. And you can add your own shortcuts as you gather evidence and decide what are the phrases that you most commonly use. When all of my evidence has been collected and I've completed watching the video, I simply press save. Now I'm ready to go and align my evidence with the rubric elements. I click on the Unaligned Evidence tab in the top left-hand corner, and I come into a page with 2 panels. My evidence is on the left-hand side in the left-hand panel, and the language of the practice and the elements of the practice are in the right-hand panel. To align evidence, I simply select a piece of evidence that I've gathered, I select the appropriate element of the practice, and I click Align. Again, all I need to do is select the piece of evidence I've gathered, the appropriate element language of the practice, and select a line. Now what I see on the right-hand side is that my evidence is now organized under the two elements of the practice. If I want to, I can delete my evidence. I can also edit my evidence if I want to reword it. I can realign it to a different element if I've changed my mind about where it's most appropriate. And I can also click on these little video icons. These video icons bring me to the exact place in the video where I gathered that evidence. So maybe I want to review that piece of the video to make sure that I've worded the evidence correctly, or to make sure that I was correct in my alignment. Once I've aligned all my pieces of evidence to the elements of the practice, now I'm ready to assign a level. To assign a level, I go into the Evidence Score tab, and now I can see the elements of the practice, the evidence that I gathered, and I can say, okay, here's element 1, here's the evidence I gathered under element 1. Now, do I believe that this element should be rated as provides no evidence, provides limited evidence, provides acceptable evidence, or provides strong evidence? To make that selection, I press on Score, and my rubric with the levels comes up below. And I simply select the level I believe is most appropriate for that element, and I'm done. I do that for the second element, and now I've assigned levels to each of the elements of the practice. Now I'm complete with this part of the process. So I can click the Complete button in the bottom right-hand corner, and now I'm brought into a place where I can compare what I've gathered and the levels that I've assigned to that of the experts. What I can see is that for element 1, I selected provides acceptable evidence, and the master scorer, the team of experts, always with the ribbon, selected provides limited evidence. In element 2, I was exactly in line with the master coder, where we both selected provides limited evidence. This box also shows me how many people in my organization have assigned each of the levels. And so over time, as other people are assigning levels, you will see maybe 3 of 25 selected provides no evidence, whereas 1 of 25 selected provides strong evidence. I can also now come in and see what the rationale was for the master coder. So what did the rationale, why did the master coder select that particular level? And you can see exactly what the master coder says. You can also see the evidence you gathered next to the evidence the master coder gathered. You can view this in the online window if that's the most helpful way for you to do it, or you can export this to a PDF. Once you export it to a PDF, you get this nice PDF document, which is an easy way for you to go through and view your evidence next to the master coder's evidence. And that's the process for activating your learning. You do that process for each of the videos that are in this section. The final step in the whole process is now to calibrate. So for calibration process looks very similar and is very similar to the activate your learning process. You come into the familiar interface with an evidence panel on the left-hand side, the video viewing panel in the middle, and the practice or rubric panel on the bottom. What you'll notice here that's different is that now you're looking at a video through the lens of an entire frame. So instead of just through the lens of one practice, you actually have language for the high impact practice, the cross-cutting practices, and the foundational practices. Again, if you've not been using the frame for very long, our suggestion is that you print out the observation sheet for the frame from the resource section of your dashboard and minimize this bottom panel. This can be helpful if you've been using the frame for a long time and are really familiar, but it's less helpful if you're using the frame as beginning and starting out. So again, the steps are the same. You play the video, you type in evidence of what you're seeing, you go in and you align that evidence now to every element of the practices in a frame. So you do this for the high impact, the cross-cutting, and the foundational. And then you get to assign a level for every practice in the frame. And finally, you will get to submit that and compare your score to the master coder score and see how close you are. In order for you to be calibrated, you have to be exact on 5 of the elements and 1 off, adjacent, on 6 of the elements. So that's an overview to the Elevate dashboard. Again, this is just to provide you an orientation. Now we encourage you to go in with your username and password and begin to explore this in more depth. This webinar will be provided in the webinar section of your dashboard if you want to review sections. And remember, the help desk and support exists through Frontline Technologies for any pieces where you need additional help. Thank you.